In today's video, I will show you how to use Cloudflare Tunnel to securely make any project running on your local computer public, whether it's Next.js, React, Node.js, Laravel, Django, or any other local server. We will use Next.js as the example, but the technique is exactly the same. Whatever port your project runs on will be made accessible from the internet through Cloudflare Tunnel. So, if your app is currently running only on localhost 3000 on your own machine, we will expose it so anyone can access it through a public domain or subdomain without port forwarding, without touching router settings, and without revealing your public IP. With this method, you can even use your local computer like a small hosting server or VPS. Without renting a server, you can securely make the app running on your machine public for client demos, testing, staging, or internal tools, all through Cloudflare Tunnel. Let's run the local project first. I open the terminal and go to my project folder. Then I type code dot. As soon as I run code dot, the project opens in VS Code. Currently, I am running a simple Next.js project. You can run any project you want. Now, we need to run the Next.js project. So, I go back to the terminal and run npm run dev. This starts the Next.js dev server, and the terminal shows the server running at localhost 3000. I open localhost 3000 in the browser to check that the app works. Everything works perfect. At this stage, one thing is clear. Localhost means your local machine, right? So, if you share this URL with someone else, they won't be able to see it. That's common sense. Now, we will make this local server publicly accessible with Cloudflare Tunnel so you can do client demos, team reviews, testing, or staging directly from your own machine. Now, we will look at the fastest and easiest to visualize technique called Quick Tunnel. I open a new terminal so the local project server can keep running on the side while I run tunnel commands separately on the other. Before using Quick Tunnel, we need Cloudflared installed on our machine. You can consider this as a Node.js package. I am following Cloudflare's official installation documentation. Since I am using a Mac, I type brew install Cloudflared. Running this command lets Homebrew download and install Cloudflared automatically. If you are on Windows, you can open PowerShell or command prompt and type winget install --id cloudflare.cloudflared. If you are on Linux, you need to install Cloudflare based on your distro. On Debian or Ubuntu, you can use a .deb package. For Red Hat or CentOS type systems, there is an .rpm package. Because Linux debs can vary by distro, the safest option is to follow Cloudflare's official installation documentation. It's just straightforward. I will put the official installation page link in the video description. Install Cloudflare from there based on your operating system. Once Cloudflare is installed, you can run cloudflared --version. This makes it easy to confirm that Cloudflare installed correctly. Our Cloudflare installation is done. Now we will run Quick Tunnel. So I run cloudflared tunnel --url and localhost 3000. I use localhost 3000 because my local server is running on that port. After the command runs, some logs will appear in the terminal. And if you scroll up a bit, you will see a public HTTPS URL under trycloudflare.com. In my case, the URL is risingcombinations.getcritical.trycloudflare.com. Yours one can be different. I open this URL in the browser and show that the local app is now accessible from the internet. One important point here. This is not a deployment, and your code is not uploaded anywhere. Your project is still running on your machine. Cloudflare only creates a secure route to your local server. Quick Tunnel has a limitation. It's temporary. If you stop the tunnel or run it again, most of the time you get a new URL. That's why Quick Tunnel is great for testing or temporary sharing. But it's not a permanent solution. A permanent solution means a fixed domain or subdomain, like example.com or demo.example.com. That doesn't change. If we want a stable setup like that, we must have our own domain, and that domain has to be active on Cloudflare. Now, we are moving to that permanent setup. One more thing to be clear about. If you don't have a Cloudflare account yet, create one first. It's a simple process. Sign up with email and password, Cloudflare sends a verification email, and once you verify it, the account becomes active. Remember, without email verification, you won't get tunnel access. I'm not showing the account creation process in this video because it's very easy and our main focus here is tunnel and domain setup. Now, for a permanent Cloudflare tunnel setup, doesn't really matter where you bought your domain. You can buy it from GoDaddy, Namecheap, Hostinger, or anywhere else. But DNS management has to be moved to Cloudflare. Cloudflare Tunnel works directly with DNS, and that's why the domain must be active on Cloudflare. In this video, I am using my own domain rafiudraj.me, which I bought from GoDaddy. Now, I will bring this domain's DNS management into Cloudflare. I first go to the Cloudflare website and log into my account with email and password. After login, I am redirected to the Cloudflare dashboard. Now, from the left menu, I click the Domains option. Inside the Domains section, I see an option called Onboard a Domain and I click it. Now, Cloudflare asks for the domain name. I enter rafiudraj.me and below you can see Quick Scan for DNS records. I leave this option on. Its job is to scan for existing DNS records like subdomains, mail service records, or other service records and try to import them automatically. This helps avoid breaking your existing setup during migration. Even if you are using a brand new domain, leaving this on is fine. Now, I click the Continue button. Next, Cloudflare asks me to select a plan. I choose the free plan because the free plan is enough for Cloudflare Tunnel. We don't need any paid features in this video. Then, Cloudflare redirects me to the next page where I can review DNS records. This is sometimes called the manual DNS entry or DNS review page. Here, Cloudflare tries to show any existing DNS records it found during the quick scan. If you already had subdomains, mail services, or other services, those DNS records will show up here. In this video, I am not editing these records or working with them because our main goal is setting up a Cloudflare tunnel. So, I don't change anything on this page. I scroll down and I click Continue to Activation. After this step, Cloudflare takes me to a page that shows instructions for updating Nameservers. Here, Cloudflare clearly explains that the domain has been added to Cloudflare, but it is not fully active yet. The domain becomes active only after we go to the place where we bought the domain, meaning our domain provider, and set Cloudflare's Nameservers. On this page, Cloudflare explains the steps. First, we need to log into your DNS provider or domain registrar. In my case, the domain is from GoDaddy, so I log into GoDaddy. If someone else uses a different provider, they should log into that provider's account. Then Cloudflare shows that you need to replace your current nameservers with Cloudflare's nameservers. For my domain, 2 nameservers are shown. These 2 are the most important now because they give Cloudflare control of my domain's DNS. I copy both nameservers from here because I will need to paste them into GoDaddy in the next step. Cloudflare also makes it clear that the old nameservers, like the default ones from your domain provider, must be removed. You can't keep old nameservers and Cloudflare nameservers together. Only Cloudflare nameservers should remain for the domain to activate properly. Now, I go to GoDaddy and log into my account. After logging in, I go to the domain section and select rafiudraj.me. Then, I go to the domain DNS section. Here, I see a tab called Nameservers and I click it. Now, I click the Change Nameservers button. GoDaddy shows a few options. Use default nameservers or use my own nameservers. I select the option, I will use my own nameservers. Then, in the nameserver 1 field, I paste the first nameserver from Cloudflare. In the nameserver 2 field, I paste the second Cloudflare nameserver. After both are entered correctly, I click Save and then Continue. After this is done, I go back to Cloudflare dashboard. At the bottom, there's an option called I updated my nameservers and I click it. This means I am letting Cloudflare know that I updated the nameservers at the domain provider. This change can take some time to propagate globally. Sometimes it takes 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes 1 to 2 hours, or even up to 24 hours. This is because of DNS propagation and it's completely normal. I can click Check Nameserver Now to verify. In my case, the nameserver update finished in about 8 minutes. Now, when I go to the domain section in Cloudflare, I can see rafiudraj.me showing as active. That means DNS is fully under Cloudflare's control and we are ready for the next step. Now, we will create the tunnel from the CLI. First, I will authorize Cloudflared with this domain. In the terminal, I type Cloudflared Tunnel login. Now, I run this command. As soon as it runs, a browser opens. In the browser, I select my Cloudflare account and give permission for the domain rafiudraj.me. This permission means Cloudflare on my local machine can now create and manage tunnels under this domain. After permission is granted, I return to the terminal. Now we will create a permanent tunnel. I run the command Cloudflare Tunnel create Next.js-live. Here, Next.js-live is the tunnel name. You can use any name you like. After running this command, Cloudflare creates a new tunnel for us. Once the tunnel is created, the terminal shows a long unique ID, usually in hex, like mine starting with 1ED88140. This is the tunnel ID. It's very important because Cloudflare identifies your tunnel by this ID. I copy this ID because we will need it again when writing the config file. Now the tunnel has been created, but it's not attached to any domain yet. So in the next step, we will create a subdomain and attach it to this tunnel. I run the command Cloudflare Tunnel route DNS Next.js-live demo.rafiudaraj.me. This command creates a subdomain called demo.rafiudaraj.me in Cloudflare DNS and maps that subdomain to our Next.js live tunnel. After running this command, I can check the DNS section in the Cloudflare dashboard to show that the demo.rafiudaraj.me subdomain has been created. That means any request to demo.rafiudaraj.me will go directly to my local server through this tunnel. Now we will configure the tunnel. The tunnel is created and the subdomain is routed. But Cloudflare still doesn't know which local service to send traffic to through this tunnel. We will write that information in the config file. First, I go to the terminal root and run the ls-a command. The reason is to show whether a hidden folder named .cloudflared exists. Now I can see that .cloudflared folder. Cloudflare creates this folder automatically and it stores all important tunnel files here. Now I go inside that folder with cd.cloudflared. After entering the folder, I create a new config file with the touch config.yml command. Cloudflare Tunnel uses a YML format config file. So we name it config.yml. Then I type code config.yml and the file opens in VS Code, so it's easy to write. Now we will write the contents of the config file step by step. First I write tunnel : and put our tunnel ID next to it. This is the tunnel ID we got when we created the tunnel and which I copied, starting with 1ED88140. Cloudflare uses this ID to know which tunnel this config is for. If you forgot the tunnel ID, you can run Cloudflare Tunnel list in the terminal to see all tunnels and copy it again. Now we write credentials-file : This is a very important instruction because without this credentials file, Cloudflare cannot run the tunnel. You can think of it as the tunnel's identity card or permission file. It lets my local machine prove to Cloudflare, yes, I am authorized to run this tunnel as the owner or authorized connector. We didn't create these credentials files separately. When we ran the Cloudflare Tunnel create Next.js-live command, Cloudflare automatically created a .json file. Cloudflare provides this file so Cloudflare can authenticate securely with Cloudflare when starting the tunnel later. Since I am inside the .cloudflared folder, I run the ls command and you can see the file. There's a .json file starting with 1ED88140. This file is our tunnel credentials file. Typically, the file name starts with the tunnel ID because it belongs to that specific tunnel. Now, we need to put the full absolute path of this file next to credentials-file : in our config.yml file. Just the file name is not enough, the full path is required. Since I am on a Mac, I use this command to get the full path, real path, and the complete JSON file name. As soon as I run it, the full path shows in the terminal. In my case, the path is users/Rafi and then inside the JSON folder's complete path. Now I copy this full path and paste it next to credentials-file : in the config.yml file. If you are on Windows, you can use this command in PowerShell, resolve-path and then the JSON file name. If you are on Linux, the same real path command works just like on Mac. No matter which operating system you use, the goal is the same. Get the full path of the credentials file and place it correctly in config.yml. Because when Cloudflare starts the tunnel, it uses this file to authenticate with Cloudflare. What does this mean? When I start the tunnel later, Cloudflare will read this config.yml file and use this credentials file to authenticate with Cloudflare. If the path is wrong or the file isn't found, the tunnel won't connect because Cloudflare won't be able to confirm that this machine is authorized to run that tunnel. Next, we write the most important part, Ingress : Ingress basically tells Cloudflare which local service should receive traffic for a given domain. I set -hostname : demo.rafiudaraj.me. That means any request to the subdomain will follow this rule. Under it, I set service : and our localhost URL. That means traffic for this subdomain will be sent to the server running on port 3000 on my local machine, which is our Next.js app. Finally, I add a fallback rule, -service : http:/status: 404. This means if a request comes to a hostname we haven't defined, Cloudflare will return a 404 response. It's a good practice because it handles unexpected requests properly. Now I save the file. Back in the terminal, I run the tunnel by typing cloudflared tunnel run Next.js-live. As soon as I run this command, Cloudflare reads the config file, connects to Cloudflare, and starts the tunnel. If everything is correct, I open demo.rafiudaraj.me in the browser. You can see the app running on my local server is now publicly accessible through this subdomain. That means Cloudflare tunnel is working correctly and the local project has been successfully exposed to the internet. Anyone can access it now. So far, we have seen the entire setup from start to finish, how to use Cloudflare tunnel to securely make a local app public. We did this without port forwarding, without router configuration, and without exposing the public IP. Yet, the local server is accessible from the internet. Here is a technical point that is important to understand. Cloudflare tunnel doesn't host your app on Cloudflare servers. Your app keeps running on your local machine the whole time. Cloudflare only creates a secure outbound connection between your local server and the internet. That means if your local machine disconnects from the internet or if your local app server is stopped, the app won't be accessible through that domain or subdomain. In that case, Cloudflare has no live endpoint to forward traffic to. Keeping that limitation in mind, Cloudflare Tunnel is a very powerful solution. It is especially ideal for client demos, internal tools, testing, staging environments, or short-term public access. And the biggest advantage is that you don't have to maintain a separate VPS or server. Let me remind you again, this whole process is not just for Next.js. Any local server running on any port, whether it's React, Next.js, Laravel, Django, or any other framework, can be made public the way using Cloudflare Tunnel. You just have to make sure which port your app is running on. Overall, Cloudflare Tunnel gives you a practical and modern approach to secure networking, where your code stays on your machine but can still be accessed from the internet.